Welcome everyone, join us today as we honor the legacy and life of Johnny O'Keefe, the original king of Australian rock and roll, who brought charisma, grit, and a voice that demanded attention. So let's dive in. John Michael O'Keefe, born the 19th of January 1935, in Bondi Junction, New South Wales, in Australia. Born into a comfortable middle-class Catholic household in Sydney, Johnny's parents, Ray and Thelma, ran a family furniture business above Valentine's restaurant on bustling Pitt Street. They raised their children, Johnny, older brother Barry, and younger sister Anne, in the leafy suburb of Dover Heights. Both parents were musically inclined, his mother, a skilled pianist, and his father, an amateur jazz musician who dabbled in music while running the family business, instilled a love of music in the home. Still, it was expected Johnny would eventually follow in his father's footsteps and join the furniture trade. After finishing school at Waverley College, Johnny briefly pursued an economics degree at the University of Sydney, before switching to a retail course and entering the family business. But by then, music had already taken hold. While still a teenager, he began performing at local dances and socials. His earliest influence was American ballader Johnny Ray, whose theatrical style captivated Australian audiences in the early 1950s, and Johnny began his stage career impersonating him. In December 1952, Johnny was called up for national service and completed a 6-month stint with the Royal Australian Air Force, stationed at Richmond. Returning in early 1953, he connected with jazz accordionist Gus Mertz and began singing regularly with his quintet at charity dances and community halls, especially the Bondi Auditorium. Mertz, sensing Johnny's raw charisma, took him under his wing, coaching him in piano, stagecraft, and expanding his musical range. By 1955, Johnny was performing steadily at college dances, private events, and even scoring a regular live spot on the 2UW radio show Saturday Night Dancing. But the moment that changed everything came when he watched Blackboard Jungle and heard Bill Haley's Rock Around the Clock. The pounding rhythm and rebellious energy lit a fire within him, and he knew he'd found his calling, rock and roll. From that point on, he poured his ambition into becoming not just a performer, but a pioneer of a new sound in Australia. Eager to ride the wave of the new rock sound, Johnny quickly pulled together his own band. The original lineup featured jazz-trained musicians, American expat Dave Owens and John Balkins on tenor sax, Ron Roman on bass, Joe Lane on drums, and Donnie Cox on vocals and keys. Recognizing the need for something unique, Johnny steered the group toward a hybrid style that fused rhythm and blues, jazz, pop, and the raw energy of rock and roll. During a typically rowdy gig at the MUIOOF Hall in Newtown, Sydney, Johnny and the DJs unknowingly sparked Australia's first rock and roll brawl. An Italian wedding was underway on the floor below, and a clash in the shared bathrooms led to insults, a full-on fight, and the arrival of multiple police vans. Watching the chaos unfold from the upstairs balcony, the band later regrouped at Dave Owens to unwind, unknowingly inspired to write song history. That night birthed Johnny's signature anthem, The Wild One. Over a rough 12-bar blues progression laid down by Owen and Greenan, Johnny began shaping the melody and lyrics, including the infamous line, "Shake her till the meat comes off of the bone." Recorded at Festival Records' Harris Street studio with innovative producer Robert Iredale, the track was a raw explosion of energy, complete with sax solos, echoing drums captured in a tiled bathroom, finger snaps, pounding piano, and crowd effects. Released in 1958 on the Shackin' at the Stadium EP, The Wild One hit number 20 on the charts and cemented Johnny's place as Australia's first true rock star and to be known as The Wild One. While he wasn't a matinee idol or naturally gifted singer, his stage presence, boundless energy, and cheeky larrikin spirit made him unforgettable. A master self-promoter, Johnny hustled tirelessly, hand-delivering records, bribing DJs, hanging his own posters, and sourcing the latest US rock imports via Qantas mates. With The Wild One, he didn't just score a hit, he made history. On the 2nd of August 1958, Johnny married 23-year-old hairdresser Marianne Renata Willemsick at St. Teresa's Catholic Church in Dover Heights. The couple would go on to have 3 children, John, Vicky, and Peter. However, the constant demands and pressures of Johnny's rising career ultimately took a toll on their relationship, and the marriage would later end in divorce in 1966. Johnny's big break came when Gene Vincent and the Blue Caps were delayed on a Lee Gordon Big Show tour, giving him the chance to open for his idol, Little Richard, a dream come true. As his reputation grew, he shared the stage with visiting international stars like Ricky Nelson, Bobby Darin, Sal Mineo, and Fabian, often overshadowing them with electrifying performances and rapturous crowd reactions. Some, like Paul Anka and Jerry Lee Lewis, tried to downplay his presence, but Johnny's momentum was unstoppable. In 1958, he released 3 more singles, Over the Mountain, So Tough, which reached number 12 in Sydney, and I Ain't Gonna Do It. He also made a brief tour of New Zealand that year, returning in early 1959 for a 2-month run promoted by Harry M. Miller. Though controversial, some venues banned him and radio stations hesitated to play his records. Back in Australia, Johnny and the DJs became the resident act on 6:00 the country's first national TV rock show. After 6 episodes, Johnny replaced American host Ricky Merriman and helped craft the show's explosive new intro, chiming bells, rockets, and his signature vocals. The theme, co-written with Peter Page and inspired by Elvis's All Shook Up, became one of Australian TV's most iconic. At its peak, the show drew 1 million viewers, around 10% of the population. In October 1959, Johnny made his first trip to the US, recording tracks like She's My Baby in LA and promoting himself as the Boomerang Boy, but his 2 tours failed to gain traction and left him broke. Worse was to come. On the 27th of June 1960, while returning from the Gold Coast, Johnny fell asleep at the wheel near Kempsey, crashing into a gravel truck. He, saxophonist Johnny Greenan, and Greenan's wife Janice were all seriously injured. Johnny suffered severe facial fractures, lost several teeth, and required extensive plastic surgery. Many believe the crash marked the beginning of his mental health struggles. Despite a 3rd failed US attempt and an unsuccessful trip to London, Johnny's resilience remained, but the toll was growing, both personally and professionally. Back in Australia, Johnny scored a major hit with the ballad I'm Counting on You, in August 1961. That October, he launched the high-budget Johnny O'Keefe show on the 7 network, which showcased both established local talent and rising stars he personally supported. However, in mid-1962, Johnny suffered a nervous breakdown and spent 2 months in the psychiatric ward at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital. When he returned to TV, 7 had rebranded the show Sing Sing Sing, named after his earlier hit Sing. In 1963, he earned a TV Week Logie for his contribution to youth entertainment. Early in 1964, he charted again with She Wears My Ring. That March, promoters J.C. Williamson's, Ken Brodziak, and Jack Neary booked him as support for legendary comedian Jack Benny at the Theatre Royal in Sydney and the Comedy Theatre in Melbourne. Backed by the Tommy Tycho Orchestra, Johnny performed his own set and even shared a comedic routine with Benny, which led to a close friendship. But the rise of the Mersey Beat and the Beatles' 1964 tour shifted public taste. Johnny refused to adapt, he even banned Beatles-style haircuts on his show. Record sales dropped, and in November he was hospitalized again. Sing 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 was cancelled shortly after. Johnny later described 1964 as the biggest downer of his career. Still, he pushed on, performing in cabaret venues, leagues clubs, and even sideshow alley tents at agricultural fairs in 1966, where he enjoyed finally connecting with fans up close, signing autographs without being rushed off like in the old Big Show days. Between and often during gigs, Johnny battled alcohol and drug dependency, and later another car accident. From January to November 1967, he hosted Where the Action Is, on the 10 network. In 1969, he toured Vietnam to entertain Australian troops. By 1970, Johnny began returning to the charts. In 1973, he faced a tough crowd of 35,000 hippies at the Sunbury Rock Festival, initially hostile, but he eventually won them over. His final major top 10 hit came in 1974 with Mockingbird, a duet with Margaret McLaren. Later that year, he launched The Good Old Days of Rock and Roll, a touring show with Johnny Devlin, Lonnie Lee, Barry Stanton, Jade Hurley, Tony Brady, and Laurel Lee. Premiering at St. George's Leagues Club in August 1974, it played to packed houses nationwide. On the 14th of February 1975, Johnny married Maureen Joan Marisic, a 29-year-old fashion consultant, at the Masonic Hall in Waverley. Together, they later opened a boutique called JohnnyOKeefe Creations in Paddington in 1978. In October 1975, Johnny was honored on This Is Your Life. He also helped establish the entertainment industry's annual Mo Awards, serving as chair of the founding committee. When his idol Elvis Presley died in August 1977, Johnny unveiled a granite memorial organized by fans at Melbourne General Cemetery. Sadly, on the 6th of October 1978, Johnny O'Keefe passed away from cardiovascular collapse, caused by an overdose of prescription medication. He was 43 years old. He was later buried at Macquarie Park Cemetery in Sydney, with full Catholic rites. Johnny O'Keefe once said, "My act is not an act. It's me. I'm the sort of guy who is what he sings." That raw honesty and unfiltered energy endeared him to thousands and helped keep his legend alive. Just as vital was his fierce determination to prove an Australian could be a star on home soil. Johnny O'Keefe was the first Australian rock and roll performer to tour the United States and the first to crack the local top 40 charts. Between 1958 and 1973, he scored 29 top 40 hits and, over a 20-year career, released more than 50 singles, 50 EPs, and 100 albums, blazing a trail for generations of Australian performers to come. In 1988, Johnny was deservingly posthumously inducted into the ARIA Hall of Fame. Johnny's daughter Vicky, just 17 when he passed away, has since become a popular and charismatic performer in her own right. To this day, she continues to keep his memory alive through regular performances of the Johnny O'Keefe Story, a heartfelt tribute show where she brings his biggest hits to life, shares personal family stories, and even performs a touching on-screen duet with her father. The show stands as a powerful celebration of Johnny's music and legacy. His nephew, Andrew O'Keefe, is also a well-known television personality, in such shows as Deal or No Deal, and Sunrise. And there you have it. Though the man is gone, the legend remains, etched in vinyl, TV screens, and the hearts of those that adored him. Johnny O'Keefe will forever be remembered as the wild one who lit the spark for everything that followed. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on your favorite artists just like this. Take care and bye for now.